In this video, I attempt to create 24 animations in 24 hours. I was initially inspired by James Lee's 24 animations in 24 hours. This idea intrigued me because I thought it would be a good exercise in pacing myself and learning my limits when it comes to animating. Now I'm setting a few rules here that will tailor this challenge to me. 1. Time goes down only when I'm drawing, which does mean I can take breaks. I don't want to burn myself out in one day quite yet. 2. Instead of allocating one animation per hour, instead I could spend as long as I wanted on an animation. I just needed 24 animations in the end. 3. I wasn't gonna color or composite because it would multiply the time it would take for an animation. My self-set time limit was 1 hour, and I would try my best to go under. I wanted to be able to go all out and spend as much time as I could on the last few animations. Let's see how I did. For my very first animation, I went with the prompt, animate a character dancing. I had the ingenious idea to animate to a copyrighted song, Cha Cha Slide. I chose this song in particular because at the time I was inspired by the Cha Cha Real Smooth animation trend. The animation was super simple and most of the characters I saw were pretty small and simple to draw, so I decided to sort of cheapify my Sona to make the process faster. I could also save time by flipping animation during repeated lines. This took me a total of 1 hour and 13 minutes. Really? All of those cutting corners and I went over my projected 1 hour. Animation is really time consuming, and at the start of the challenge, I was concerned I wouldn't be able to even complete this challenge. But I just had to keep on going. Moving on to animation 2. For the second animation, I thought I'd mix it up a bit and leave what I would animate to fate. I also have what you would call brain rot, and it was only a matter of time before Pokemon would show up on my channel. I went to the Pokemon generator, and whatever Pokemon I got, I would have to animate. This was really a gamble because of how diverse Pokemon designs are. I could get something super simple or something ridiculously complicated. Yes! Okay. I was super happy I got Pachirisu because she's very simple to draw and recognizable. I based her off of this squirrel clip I found because I thought it would make for a good gif. And here's the second animation. It took around 59 minutes and 27 seconds. And despite some animation errors, it's so cute and I really like this one. On to animation 3. So, have you ever redrawn an old piece of art and have been proud with how far you've come? Now imagine that, except it's an old animation, and you have 1 hour to do it, and for some reason everything is on fire. Well, that is what it felt like animating animation 3. I went through the stash of unlisted old videos I have, and I decided on this flyaway map part. I still have fond memories of this part because I remember making it in Flip-a-Clip on my phone in middle school. I'm sure that sentence unlocks some memories for some of you watching. I animated the map part with my first OC, Ava. True OGs will know who she is. It's also fun revisiting old characters, and this was no different, if not a little stressful. With this animation, I had to forego a lot of in-betweens, and I tried to focus just on the key parts of the animation. I am a little dissatisfied with the last motion of Ava opening her wings and wind blowing through her hair. It's pretty underwhelming, but with a challenge like this, you just gotta keep moving forward. Here's the animation. This took about 1 hour and 20 seconds, so we're on track. The next two animations, I went with the prompt, animate an object from your room. I wanted to start saving time instead of just meeting my set cap of 1 hour. So I plan to do some really quick animations of them moving. I chose my snowball microphone and this ender chest I made in ceramics. I originally chose my snowball because animating a ball-shaped item didn't seem too difficult, and I just wanted to show you guys what I was working with. I have good news though, in the time it took me to get back to this project, I have upgraded from a snowball to a hypercast, so, you know, pretty cool. The box was a little tricky because I was freehanding a walk cycle at an odd angle. I think I was able to figure it out to the best of my ability in the end. The ball took around 53 minutes and 29 seconds, and the box took around 24 minutes and 10 seconds. I was a little shocked that the snowball microphone animation took longer than the box. I think with all the details in the giant word blue, it took a lot of time trying to get it consistent through each frame. While not saving as much time as I wanted to, I was able to save 42 minutes and 21 seconds out of the 2 hours. Through a couple of animations, you might have noticed I've been trying to keep characters as simple as possible. The time it takes to draw an extra character detail or a line multiplies as the frame count goes up. I had also recently been playing Cut the Rope on my phone. I swear this is relevant. And I really like how simple Omnom's design is. It got me thinking about simple shaped characters in Flash or mobile games I could animate. I was also missing the randomization aspect of the Pokemon generator animation. So I came up with the Wheel of Nostalgia with these little guys I played in video games as a kid. Looking back at this now, it's really funny to see how I ran out of ideas by Animation 6. Getting Duck Life immediately reminded me of that leg duck in Duck Life 3 that I found unreasonably funny back in elementary school. Oh, anyway, here's the finished animation. I freaking love how this came out. I think it captures the feeling of your duck defying all laws of evolution and sprouting legs. The absurdity of this animation made it pretty fun to draw. I enjoyed my time, and it took about 39 minutes and 50 seconds, so I was able to save some time on this animation. Animation 7, I was still on the kick of animating simple video game characters, so I went with the prompt, animate your favorite video game character. And wow, what a convenient coincidence. It just so happens to be the Knight from Hollow Knight. Since the character was so simple, I wanted to have him doing something action related. I also like the Monarch Wings animation in the game, so I wanted to animate that too. I ended up settling on the Knight flying up and slashing a Vengefly King in the air. Here's the final animation. It took around 58 minutes and 30 seconds. I'll apologize for the Knight slashing vertically, not horizontally. I hope the Hollow Knight community can forgive me as we all wait for Silksong.
What the hell is this?
Animation 7, we are already repeating ideas as we go back to the Pokemon generator. But this time, I would have to animate a walk cycle. Again, it's the same gamble. I could get something really easy, like something that doesn't have legs or floats. Or I could get all of the legs. Getting Ogerpon scared me at first because I did not buy the Scarlet and Violet DLC to this day, and I never plan on getting it. So I haven't really seen this thing move in the game. Then I thought, this would actually make for a good challenge to figure out how Ogerpon walks when I've never seen it in game before. Also, the mask stays on. In the end, it wasn't that hard, mostly because it walked on 2 legs, and with the mask, I could just copy and paste it onto each frame, so I actually saved a lot of time. I do like this animation, it's really cute. It took around 59 minutes and 34 seconds, so we don't really save any time, but we are on track. For Animation 7, I wanted to reanimate a lip sync animation. Lip sync animations are actually pretty hard for me. It has a lot of subtle motions in the face that can be hard to capture. I wanted to reanimate this lip sync of Jay Feather from Warrior Cats I made when I was 14.
Wow, sarcasm. That's original.
Honestly, I still think the old animation holds up, and I want to see how much I've improved now. But, you know, as for mentioned, I don't really animate cats anymore, so I don't know why it was a good idea to just jump into it once again. This animation was really sucking up a lot of time, so I had to resort to duplicating, then squashing and stretching the frames, and overall it brings the quality down. The real tragedy is it took an hour and 41 minutes, so all that time I've been saving up has been kinda wasted on Animation 9. It feels like a bit of a waste, but we just have to trudge on.
Wow, sarcasm. That's original.
We have reached double-digit numbers at Animation 10. I already wanted to redeem myself in the lip-syncing field, and I've also been wanting to animate a shot from my Not Your Seed animatic for a while, so I chose this shot.
Not your girl anymore.
It's pretty simple, just a headshot and a line of lip sync. I tried to be super economical with the frames, and I was not afraid of reusing them. Here's the final animation.
Not your girl anymore.
It took 1 hour, a minute, and 45 seconds. So a little overboard, but not as devastating as the Jay Feather one. Okay, listen, I have a confession to make. I don't think the animation challenge videos are the best on my channel currently. I think my OC commentary videos are better than my animation challenges, by like just a smidge. YouTube doesn't think so though. But YouTube cannot stop me. I've been slowly injecting my OCs or original characters into these videos, and I think it's time we fully animate a couple. For animation 11, I also wanted to try something a bit different. All of these animations have been frame by frame. It's what I'm best at, it's what I'm most comfortable with, but that means I really haven't used any of Toon Boom's tweening features yet. So for animation 11, I wanted to try use the tweening features. And a bonus, it'll probably take faster because I only need to draw one frame instead of like a jillion. For animation 11, I wanted to do a page doll of my comic character Calais. A page doll is basically a little character that appears in the corner of your character's profile. I drew Calais a bunch for her comic, so I was able to bust out the drawing pretty fast. Also, you want to read my webcomic so bad, ooh, I'll leave it down in the description. The tweening wasn't that bad. Trying to figure out the curves was a little intimidating, but I eventually got something I liked. And here's the finished animation. It took around 45 minutes and 36 seconds, so we're finally cutting back on time. Animation 11. We are continuing the trend of drawing my comic characters and hopefully saving time. I wanted to go super simple on this animation. It's just an animated icon loop of my OC Kai. I think this animation is like 6 frames in total and 2 of them are copy pasted, so I was able to complete it really fast. Here's the finished icon. It took around 22 minutes and 58 seconds. As much as I despise Kai, I think this animation came out alright. In fact, I liked animation 10 and 11 so much that I finished them outside of this challenge and put them up on their Toy House profiles. I'll leave links down below if you want to see them for yourself. Toy House is like the only social I post my art on anymore, so if you want to see what I'm doing, go there. Now, onto animation 13. I have a question for the artists watching this video. What type of clothing is the hardest for you to draw? Because for me, it's shoes. I am so bad at drawing footwear, man. It's pretty embarrassing. So for this challenge, I thought I could tackle my weaknesses and try to animate a shoe turnaround. I used these as references, but that's about it. In the end, it came out better than I thought it would though. There are definitely a lot of mistakes, but I think the first step to improving is figuring out your weak points, and this animation definitely did that. Here's animation 13. May I offer you a shoe in a microwave? We are continuing the trend of studies. I wanted to tackle a part of anatomy that I struggled with the most, and that happens to be hands. I know it's cliche, but it's true. These things are so hard to draw. Like, I'll look back at my old art and I think, wow, my hands have not improved nearly as much as my faces. I was directly referencing off of this video of a hand curling into a fist. Pretty easy, pretty chill. Gonna be real though, while animating this, it was so hot, man. I could not focus, so I definitely could have polished it up more and done like a second draft like my shoe. But I was done in about 19 minutes and 33 seconds. Animation 14 by far comes in the fastest one I've done so far. Unfortunately, it also picks up the title of worst animation. It's just too sketchy for my liking, and it's hard to tell exactly how the fingers are positioned. I just really need to do more hand studies and use reference photos. But anyways, we're saving time and that's what matters. And with animation 14 down, we are on to the last 10 animations. Now that we're a good way into the challenge, I have to ask, are you bored of Toon Boom yet? The animation program I've been using? Well, I am, and for the next 2 animations, I thought it would be fun if we switched it up a bit and changed animation programs. Place your bets on what it'll be. So over the course of Art Fight, I picked up a new program just cause I was bored and I wanted to spice up my art. I bought Sprite for $20 on Steam. It's basically an animation program that specializes in pixel art and animation. You'll see a lot of pixel artists use it for games and such. I made a few attacks with it during Art Fight, and you can see I was just starting out and didn't quite grasp it yet. It felt like a simpler version of Toon Boom with all of the tools in different places, and how to color and shade especially stumped me. So for animation 15, I thought I'd practice a bit. I want to make an exception to the no color rule for this animation because the animation I chose is like 4 frames. And I think it would be interesting to record my process and figure out how to actually use the program. Seasoned, veteran Sprite artists are probably cringing at the speed footage for this, and I don't blame them. I chose my OC Mateo for this because I wanted to give their whole story matching animated pixel icons. Animation 15 took about 51 minutes, 53 seconds. Just for 4 frames. I think this just goes to show how long coloring and shading take. I think I grasp shading and coloring more, which I do think you can see in this animation. And here's the finished animation. I'm definitely going to experiment more with Sprite in the future. Chances are you'll probably see it again. Animation 16, I may have mentioned it before in the video, it's flip-a-clip. I thought why not have the classic flip-a-clip experience of drawing with my finger on my phone on the free version. I decided to do a dog walk cycle because I thought it would be a good looping animation. And it's still somewhat challenging, but something I thought I could do in a reasonable amount of time in flip-a-clip. I don't think I've seriously drawn with my finger since like middle school. It's so hard. I felt like if I drew with my finger for too long, the skin would eventually rub off. So props to the finger artist, man. Y'all are in the trenches. This animation took around 31 minutes and 36 seconds, so we do save a good chunk of time. Also, I hope you guys enjoy the setup I did. I wanted to try something a little bit different for this one. And here's the finished animation. It's definitely rough around the edges, but it works. That's an animation if I've ever seen one. Animation 17. I thought since we've strayed so far away from my usual art program, why not go a step further and change mediums? Specifically, my middle school specialty of post-it note flipbooks. I'm showing a couple on screen now that I did, and these were so fun. While I cannot say they were the main thing that got me into animation, the answer to that is way more embarrassing. I can say they were definitely a factor. This animation stripped me of all my fancy tools. The main challenge was not being able to create keyframe or main poses. I had to animate straight ahead, meaning I would have to draw the next frame only. I tried to avoid this as much as possible in animation because the proportions tend to change drastically when I do. I also didn't really have an eraser, so if I didn't like how a frame was going, I would have to rip it out, and I can only do that so many times. Despite all of this, it did feel good to animate on paper and physically flip the pages rather than press a button. It was nice to come back to something like this. Animation 17 took around 28 minutes and 10 seconds. Here's the finished animation. Gonna be honest, not the biggest fan of this one, especially the last 2 frames. It's pretty limited, but that's kind of the beauty of post-it note flipbooks. Animation 18, we're going back to good old Toon Boom Harmony because the next prompt I am not too familiar with. It's special effects. Special effects is hard for me because I find it really difficult to make it look organic and not stiff. I'm probably going to have to learn special effects eventually if I want to animate fight scenes with big explosions and characters crashing into things, so why not start practicing now? I had a fun idea to animate Kai being blasted out of an explosion because to quote a mutual, he's a girl boss failure. I think not having to render out the explosions saved me from figuring out how the puffs of smoke would really look. Also, adding Kai and figuring out this angle took an extra 30 minutes, but it makes me smile, so I think it's worth it. Here's animation 18. In total, it took 55 minutes and 24 seconds. Okay, the current plan right now is to save as much time as possible, then go all out on the last 2 animations. I thought since we had the last 6 animations left, the last 4 could be picked from the 4 levels of animation created by Animator Island. There are 51 animation prompts that are split into 4 levels ranked by difficulty. I'll be randomizing and picking 1 from each level to make it more fun, and so I don't choose the easiest ones. Level 1 prompts are the most basic animation exercise, like a ball bouncing or a sack of flour jumping. Let's see what I get. I wasn't worried about animation 19 at all. I was hoping to get a character prompt though because those are the most fun to me. And I got a character blinking. I was super happy because this is really simple and the animation could take literally less than 5 minutes. Of course, I was going to do an OC of mine, but I couldn't possibly choose, so I had the Wheel of Fortune choose for me, and it chose Jade. I had a decent idea of what I wanted to do. Jade is pretty tired, like all of the time, so I wanted to animate her drifting off to sleep and blinking to try to stay awake. Pretty easy, right? Do you want to guess how long this animation took? According to my notes, it took 39 minutes and 21 seconds. Not bad, but compared to other animations, I think I definitely could have gotten a shorter time. I think the reason why was because I was tired. I was doing an animation or editing daily. Not to mention, I've just started college and I've been working on another project of mine behind the scenes. I knew I needed a break from this challenge and I took one. If 2 days minus editing counts, it should be fine though. Let's continue on. But anyways, here's the finished animation. Please let my girl get some rest. Animation 20. We are going to level 2 exercises that include prompts like a character laughing or a character jumping over a gap. There were some prompts that I really hope I wouldn't get, like a tree falling or a running cycle, because those would take such a long time. But I just had to roll the dice and see what I got. And I got a character on a pogo stick, which sounds like really hard. I don't think I've touched a pogo stick, much less thought about animating one. So let's just say I was scared. If this was a level 2 prompt, I was concerned for what I would get for level 3 and 4, but for now we just have to focus on completing this animation. All I really did to prepare was look at a couple GIFs and then I jumped right into it. What I did notice was the legs tended to bend in the air, and that the pogo stick spent more time in air than on the ground, if that makes sense. In the end, I don't know man, I really wanted to get this animation done, and I was fine with it being less than perfect, let's say. I think Animation 20 takes the title of worst animation so far from Animation 14. If there was one thing I have learned from this challenge, it's that doing 10 animations straight will burn you out. Anyways, here's Animation 20. Let's move on. For the next 2 animations, we will be spinning the wheels for level 3 and 4 prompts. The next 2 levels have a lot more character acting, like juggling or a character eating a cupcake, so I was anticipating it eating up more time. Let's spin the wheels and see what we get. For Animation 21, the prompt I got was a close-up of a hand picking up a small object. And for Animation 22, I got the prompt, an object falling into a body of water. These 2 intrigued me because I could do reference videos for these like the ones I did for Animation 14 with the hand closing. I have these rings and I thought they would make for a good object both for picking up and dropping in water. I decided to go with these 2 videos. Now let's jump into the animating. Animation 21 takes me back to Animation 14 again, since I'm practicing drawing hands through a referenced video. The video was a little too long, so I used it more as a reference for the keyframes. Then I did the in-betweens myself. Like most of the animations, it's a little rough around the edges, but I think it looks alright for what it is. I do like that I didn't directly trace the reference frame for frame, and I used it more as a jumping off point. Here's Animation 21. Overall, it took 39 minutes and 21 seconds. On to Animation 22. Animation 21, I used the footage more as reference for the keyframes and did my own thing. Animation 22, however, I more or less referenced every frame. This was because I had no idea how to animate water, so I had to heavily reference the video. The challenge came more in translating the water in the video to solid lines. Plus, the video quality was really bad, and I had trouble making out what was even going on. I do think I have learned more about water physics in animation, and how the water actually bounces back up and creates 2 ripples. Pretty interesting stuff. This animation took about 26 minutes and 33 seconds. Here's Animation 22. Now, we are left with the final 2 animations with 7 hours and 41 minutes left. All of those cutting corners and trying to save as much time as possible has been for these 2 final animations for me to go all out on. I wanted characters interacting with the environment and heavy action, something that takes me a lot of time usually. The prompts I had for Animation 23 wasn't originally planned to be one of the big animations. I had the prompt animate a character from a TV show and animate a transformation sequence. For both, I actually thought about the animated TV show Kibo. Spoilers for the epilogue designs of that TV show though. You have been warned. I really wanted to combine those prompts and animate Kibo transforming into her Mega Dragwire form, and I thought it would be fun to do her epilogue design because we don't get to see a lot of that. I rewatched some of the show and I love it so much. I knew I wanted to do something that would take up a lot of time, so I decided to save it for the last 2. I did loose sketches of Kibo from screenshots of the show in my sketchbook to get a feel of her character in my style. Trust me, I was not animating in the show style. That would take far too long to get used to and would probably be an idea for another video. I didn't count the sketches as time, so if you feel that's cheating, sorry. I did include everything else in the time though, like the warm-up sketches and the storyboard. I wanted to animate Kibo jumping off a building and transforming into the Mega Jaguar. Originally in the draft, I had her jumping on a mega bunny midway through, but I had to cut that to save time. I didn't use any reference or have a draft for the in-between, so I was really on the tips of my toes while animating this one. Overall, the animation took a whopping 5 hours and 18 seconds, which unsurprisingly comes in as the animation that took the most time. I wanted to have the 7 hours with the final 2 animations, but I got a little carried away. I think this shows why I was so concerned if I could even do an animation challenge like this at the start, because this is usually how long an animation takes for me. Here's the finished animation. This has to be one of my favorites out of the challenge. I like how it came out with the restriction. Animation 24, the final animation. 2 hours and 24 minutes left on the clock. I wanted to do something of similar quality as animation 23. For the last one, I went with the prompt, animate a friend's character. I was itching to get to this one because I had a pretty good idea of an animation for my friend Maddie's character, Gioni. Gioni is the main character of Maddie's web novel, 2152 The Trifold Articles. It has art and animation with each page. The consistency is so impressive to me, and it helped me get a pretty solid idea of the animation I wanted to do. Rose Maddie is a fellow art YouTuber. She makes great videos on writing NOCs. I'd highly recommend checking her out if that stuff interests you. There are these monsters called Tenebris that roam the abandoned streets, and I thought it would be fun to have Gioni fighting off one and running away. Originally in the draft, I had her actively running away, tripping, grabbing a stray branch on the ground, and bludgeoning the Tenebris, then making her escape. Like animation 23, I had to cut the running part because there just wasn't enough time. This animation had a lot of complex motion I haven't really done before. I had a really hard time trying to draw Gioni swinging a stick while sitting down from the back. You can see me really struggling with it in the recording. I also don't have any reference, which made it a lot harder to make it look natural. Only having 2 hours and 24 minutes did not help. I think with more prep and time, I could have made the movements more realistic, but then again, with the time and the skill level I am at right now, I'm happy with what I was able to make. Also, this is gonna sound dumb, but doing these last 2 animations made me realize I could just animate scenes like this. I don't know, I've been stuck in draw character in the void for so long. This challenge has really helped me break out of my comfort zone. We have made it! 24 hours of animating, and we have done 24 animations. I don't have to worry about not getting this video done and having all of that time wasted. I can finally be free. And with animation 24 done, we have reached the end. Oh boy, what a journey. To reflect, I will say I could have done a lot better on coming up with animation prompts. I was kind of all over the place, plus the fact that I didn't animate all the animations in one day like the original James Lee video. Maybe one day I'll do a sequel, who knows? So do I think I improved as an animator? I hope so, but I guess I'll leave that up to you all. What was your favorite and least favorite animation from this video, and what do you think I could have done better? If there is one thing I've learned, it's that you can get way more done if you don't color. It's kinda crazy. So would I recommend this challenge to other animators? Not really, unless it's for a video or content. I'd say 24 is a tad too many, trust me, I know. However, I would recommend trying to do an animation in a set time limit. I think it can help you figure out your limits and improve as an animator. I'll put up a list of prompts that I use and didn't use if you want ideas. Try animate one of these in under an hour and see what you're able to make. I put a ton of work into this video and I really appreciate you watching it all. I have future animation challenge videos I'm planning to do, so stick around if you're interested in that. Also, I took a huge break from this challenge, like almost a year, and then I came back to it. Can you guess what animation I was on when I came back? No cheating. And I think that's all for me for now. See y'all next time. Koi out.